What's up everybody, it's Kellen here from Start Your Systems, and welcome to another official track gameplay in MX Simulator, round number 2 of the 2018 Supercross season from Houston. And we're going to have a little bit of fun riding this track here today. You guys are going to see what this track is like in Sim, the MXS EMF version that is. Then I'm going to talk about some real life stuff, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So you guys may already have seen that I've laid down a couple ruts. I just put in a quick test session because I'm trying to get used to a new controller I have. A little sticky, I guess, because it's brand new. Got to kind of break in the thumbsticks, but getting there. Yeah, this track, MXS EMF Track Crew, coming up again with a good one. I think this track's been more well received than Anaheim 1, and I think it's mostly down to the layout. I think they built the layout pretty darn good for what the track map is, and then the layout itself is pretty good. It's a fast-flowing kind of track, which usually lends well to MX Simulator physics. And in general, it's a good track. I mean, it broke down pretty gnarly for the 450 mains in Sim, but other than that, it stayed pretty well intact for most of the racing. Like I said, most guys seem to really enjoy it, not really any complaints about anything that I saw. And the thing that I liked the most about it was that there was a lot of different options in the rhythms. That section right there, you could go on, off, and then triple out, or you could single over table, quad, double out, and then in this upcoming rhythm, there was just a whole gamut of different possibilities you could take, different options you could use. Pretty much everybody tried to triple in, but by the midpoint of the main event, it was pretty hard to. So you could triple in, or you could do it like this, check up, double in, then 3-3-2 through, or you could triple in, quad, triple out, or you could triple in, triple single, triple quad. Lots of different options, like I said. That's what I liked about it the most, was that it made for good racing, because guys could make up a lot of time if they got a big line right, but it wasn't the end of the world if you didn't get a big line, because there were other options available to take. So I like the track because of that. I think it's, like I said, very, very fast with these switchbacks across the start straight. Short start this week, really like quick, you know, sideline to sideline, and then into a 90-degree left-hander. So gonna be probably some carnage there in real life. There definitely was in Sim as well. And yeah, I think it's kind of crazy we're in a football stadium again this quick into the season, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But cool beans, round 2, Houston. Definitely download it and try it, but I'm gonna talk about some real life stuff here now. Coming off of Anaheim 1, I did a recap video on the Anaheim 1 J. Andrew edition that you can go check out if you want to hear my specific thoughts from Anaheim 1, but you know, obviously just kind of generalizing, not the week that Tomac wanted to have for the opener. It seems like he's going to be healthy and ready to go for round 2 despite having a shoulder contusion. So I guess not 100% healthy, but ready to go for round 2 is the main point there. So he'll be there. You know, like everything else just seemed pretty kind of normal to me. Like I said, I pinned Roxon for being like in the 4 to 5 area, and he would have finished 4th. I mean, he did finish 4th with Tomac crashing, and he would have finished 5th if Tomac hadn't crashed. So I think I got the nail on the head there. I thought the whoops not breaking down enough meant that Muscan was not going to win, but obviously that was proven wrong when Tomac crashed himself out. So I mean, it's just kind of like a whole mix of things really that makes this series, I think, a lot more exciting now, because I think Roxon in the long run is going to be a little bit better than Muscan. Speed-wise, I think he'll win more main events, etc., etc. But I think it's going to take him like just a little while to get to that point. He's not really like there mentally yet to get a good start and just, I think, run away with one. I think like even if he gets a whole shot, he'll still kind of struggle to hold the lead. But I was happy to see that he was very methodical in the way he approached this opening round with a bad start and then working his way through the field and so on. But I mean, Muscan, I think, is just, he's going to have his good rounds. He's going to have his bad rounds. There's going to be rounds where I think he will be better than Roczen, but I think overall speaking, I think Roxon's just going to be faster. It's more or less who's going to make the least mistakes. And then obviously now it's back to Tomac for being at square one like he was last year. He was 20, I think at one point 29 points down on Dungey, and he clawed all the way back, got the points lead, and then threw it away in the second to last round. He has to do it again. 25 points down, Muscan picking up 26 for the win. Tomac gets 22nd and picks up a point. So he has to kind of, you know, even though he's injured, come out this weekend and start clicking off wins like he did last year. And I don't know if he's going to be ready for that. I think mentally he's starting to take more and more like hits, not, you know, like actual concussions, but like his mentality's got to be changing a little bit going into these races, thinking like, man, I am the fastest guy, I should win, but good golly gosh, I hit the ground a lot. So again, I don't think I am going to pick Tomac as the winner in Houston this weekend. And given that the fact that there's a really fast whoop section that probably won't break down, this really could be a round that Roczen kind of, you know, breaks out, gets that whole shot, and maybe even cruises to a win. But saying that and seeing how Anderson rode last week and his corner speed and just like his overall finesse and everything, I really think the best rider overall, you know, no crashes, decent-ish starts, and speed to boot was Anderson. So maybe even he's the favorite coming into this week just on that alone. I mean, he looked very comfortable. At certain points of the main event, he was catching Marvin, and then I just think he ran out of time there at the end to really like make any last run at him. But he looked really smooth and confident on the bike, and he's always kind of looked that way at Anaheim anyway. But I don't know, I just think that he's got a little bit different of a mentality this year, obviously not being kind of second fiddle, the same thing with Muscan to Dungey, that I kind of wonder if, you know, going into these rounds, he's going to break out a little bit, break out of his shell, get better starts, which he definitely needs, and then ride to his full potential in these main events and start winning some more races. He's won before, so he knows how to do it. There's no question about that. It's really just of kind of putting it all together, which he's most of the time I feel like failed to do before. I mean, really, his only race wins are Anaheim 1 2 years ago when, I mean, chaos happened. Stewart got knocked out. Dungey got a bad start and had to fight through. He got gifted a victory when Dungey got docked a position for jumping on the red cross flag. And then he won the bunching technique a la Las Vegas 2017 race, which is his 3 career wins. Like, Anaheim 1, I'll give it to him straight up. He was the best rider that night, 2016. But I feel like all these other nights, it's almost been like not his night to win, and it just happens. So I'm honestly kind of thinking that he really only has 1 win, but obviously he has 3. And I think like he really needs to, in order to get his confidence level there, championship-wise, he needs to go out and have a race where he is the guy, nobody can touch him, he's the fastest rider on the track, he gets a good start, and just wins one of these things like comfortably, smoothly, nothing in his way, nothing chaotic about the night, just a straight-up good victory. And then I will really consider Anderson a title contender. I think his speed's there, I think his mentality is close. It's really just about a good, solid victory, and then I think he's in this thing. But for like Marvin's sake, and I think Roczen's sake too, I think they're both like mentally realizing how long this championship is, and that Anaheim 1 is nothing to really like read too much into. I think Marvin realizes he got gifted a victory from Eli. Roczen realizes he's happy to just be leaving the opener healthy. I think they're going to come into this weekend with a little bit of a different mindset altogether, and this is almost like the second round every year is this too, where it's like it's really like the true opening round, like all the craziness, the lead, the build up, the hype. It's all behind us now. It's like we're in the season, everybody's in it for the long haul. So let's see who has the highest confidence level to go out there and actually start producing good results week in, week out, and you know, make a good run at the championship. And I really just get a feeling, given the way that he made it through Anaheim 1 smoothly, and he was fastest qualifier, and he's looking quick already, that Roczen's going to come in this weekend fired up and saying like, okay, I got my one race in out of the way. Like I need to come out and start winning races if I want to be a championship contender. And with Tomac still kind of injured and it not really looking 100%, I honestly think if I'm picking right now, I would pick Roczen to win this round, which is kind of crazy to believe because I think in my mind, I would have thought it would take 4 or 5 rounds for him to get his feet kind of completely wet again and ready to go, but he looked comfortable and relaxed in traffic at Anaheim, so I feel like he's there. He just needs to get a good start and be able to run with these guys early, and I don't have any doubts he's going to win a race again, so I think I'm going to go Roczen. I just don't see Musquin being comfortable on these hard-packed tracks. Yes, he won Dallas last year, but the whoops are fairly small, to be fair. If the whoops are small again this year, in Houston, maybe he wins, but I think again it comes down to start, which is very crucial on this particular track, given how kind of one-lined every rhythm lane is going to be. I don't think you're going to be able to pass as easy as you were able to in Anaheim, with a lot of turns and stuff like that. This one's like total of 7 turns, 8 turns total. Anaheim was like 12, 13. So start's going to be crucial. If he gets the start, I think I'm gonna pick Roczen. But I hope Tomac comes back and at least gets on the podium this week, because I think it'll be kind of crappy given that he probably is the best rider in the series, and if he's not even kind of close championship points wise, all we're gonna do is have another year of just Tomac climbing his way up the mountain and nothing really exciting happening in the main events other than a Tomac checkout every week. If he's close in points, I feel like the pressure is going to be a little bit different and we'll have a lot more like close racing, better racing. If he's got nothing to lose, he's just going to send it every week. I think we're going to see a lot of Tomac wins as the season progresses. So I hope he gets on the podium and keeps it relatively close. But again, I think I have to go Roczen for this round. But on to the 250 class. Interestingly enough, Houston is more east than Dallas. But in the schedule, Houston is a west round, Dallas is an east round. Funny how that works, but I think they did that just to keep it kind of, you know, the same across the board. Like they start with 6 rounds for the west, then it goes, I think, 8 consecutive for the east, and where there's 1 east-west shootout mixed in there, and then 2 again for the west, and then the finale, I believe. But yeah, I think they're just doing that to kind of keep it steady so that the West guys don't start their season, have a break immediately, and the East guys don't start their season and have a huge break immediately. So I know people have complained about the whole East-West thing not being completely accurate, but that's why they're doing it. So it's West again, and last week we saw McElrath just absolutely shred the field that was meant to be quite deep and challenging for him to defeat this year, but he just completely repeated exactly what he did last year at Anaheim, which is get a good start. I don't think he whole shot the main in 2017, but he did this year and checked out. He was gone. Nobody was catching him. I mean, Plessinger was maybe reeling him in once he got in a second, but he was already like 7 seconds down when he got there. So, I mean, kudos to McElrath coming out firing at Anaheim both years. Last year, he was able to back it up with a victory at San Diego, but this year, we're not in California anymore. It's not a baseball stadium. A lot of different things have changed. So I have to kind of imagine the guys that are a little bit more used to the East Coast style of tracks with the football stadium stuff, and it's not an East track per se, but the dirt is different than in Anaheim. And I'm not too sure that's really McElrath's comfort zone. So if I'm just picking based on what I saw at Anaheim, I think maybe this is a round where Savatgy breaks through. He looked pretty good at Anaheim. It took him a while to get going in the main event, and when he did get into 4th, he was catching those guys pretty much the whole time, but he was already too far back. So that's why I think he ended up 4th. I think he probably at least had podium speed. He was right at least on par with what McElrath and Cianciarulo were doing most of the main event, which in my opinion was faster than McElrath was riding. It just took him too long to get there. So I think Savatgy, if he gets a good start this week, which he's usually gotten pretty good starts on tracks like these, and he may be dangerous this week. What I really hope from this week does happen, though, to make this 250 class more interesting, is that Justin Hill has a really good week. He had not the best main event at Anaheim. He had pretty good day. Like, he qualified first and then got a bad start in the heat, but I feel like turned it into a pretty good result. I think he ended up third or fourth in his heat race, which I thought was pretty good for the start he got. And then had bad start demons got him again in the main event, which I feel like is going to be a product of this Suzuki all year long. And even once he got into a position where he was mixed in with some of the guys he should be fighting for the championship, he still coughed up a late spot to, I believe, Oldenburg. Ended up 7th or 8th in the end. Like, that's just not the kind of opening round you want to see, or he wanted to see, being a past champion. So I think he needs to have a big turnaround this week, and if he does, if he can somehow get into the mix, at least finish on the podium, if not win this round, then that really kind of swings the door open for making things a lot more interesting in this series, where he has an 8th and a 1, and then maybe McElrath has some kind of weird thing happen where he ends up 6th or something, and then, like, that's how you make a series really swing the tide quickly, is by having guys who did bad at the opener have a good round at the second round. And Justin Hill is one of those guys that needs to turn the tides. Everybody else, I feel like, is kind of where they wanted to be leaving Anaheim 1, healthy, got through all the hype. Obviously, the guys that finished on the podium are going to be a little bit happier about it, but everybody that should have been in there was in the mix. Kind of have to talk a little bit about Christian Craig injuring his ankle this week. It sounds like he has a grade 2 ankle sprain, I think it was diagnosed as. It's got a really gnarly bump on his ankle, and I don't understand how ankle sprain leads to huge bump unless he smashed it on something as well, but then that would lead me to believe that he maybe chipped a bone or something. He says he's going to try to ride. He's in a fairly decent amount of pain, but he's going to just try to push through it and at least get decent enough points from this round so that he's still a semi-championship contender. I think if he can finish inside of the top 10, then that successfully does what he's trying to get out of this round. But this field is pretty deep. I mean, there's battles going on well into outside of the top 10 this past race. And I think if he's injured, that really makes it a little bit more difficult to finish top 10, but I still think he's going to get it as long as he races the night show. Otherwise, I feel like pretty much everybody else should be happy with where they're at. Alex Martin, obviously not going to be too happy with his situation, given that he crashed, and I think he initially thought he had broken his collarbone, and then later reports revealed that no, he didn't actually break the collarbone. So he was supposedly going to try to race this weekend, but latest I heard was that he was out. So that's a little bit of a bummer for him. But, I mean, good opening round for McElrath. He's happy with where he's at. Plessinger, as second place, has got to be pretty thrilled with that. AC and Savacci are probably just stoked to make it through the opener, you know, clean, good to go. And then behind that, it's a mix of guys, Craig and Sexton and Hills mixed in there, and Oldenburg, like I said, he got through late. I think all those guys have got to be pretty happy with where they're at leaving Anaheim, getting good points, finishing where they probably wanted to, which is inside of that mixture of guys, just somewhere in there. And I think it sets up for some good rounds coming up, especially with it being a different track, not a baseball stadium, different dirt, in a dome, all kinds of different stuff. So yeah, I'm excited for this weekend. I don't really know if I have a designated pick other than just saying that Savacci's going to do well. I guess he would be my pick, but I think it just look out for anybody that didn't have a good Anaheim to maybe step it up this round. And I just don't think McElrath is going to have the same level of success he had in following up his victory like he did last year. So a couple things to look for. Maybe you guys will look for the same things, or maybe you guys will look for completely different things. But either way, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know your guys' comments on what you think about the Supercross series, who your picks are for this week, and all this stuff, so I can do a little bit of bench racing with you guys prior to the racing on Saturday. And I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend of watching the races as well. I'll be watching, I'll be tweeting, I'll be having a good time, hanging with some friends. And maybe you guys can follow me on Twitter and have a good time seeing what I'm tweeting, and maybe tweet at me some interesting comments of your own. But for Kellen here on Start Your Systems, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. So long for now.